The Galactic Council chamber stretched before them like a vast, cold cathedral. Towering walls of polished alloy reflected the harsh white light cast from countless suspended fixtures. Delegates from dozens of star systems sat rigidly in their assigned pods, their alien features a mosaic of scales, feathers, and chitin. The air hummed with a low frequency, an omnipresent vibration that spoke of power and authority. At the center, Supreme Arbiter Vortha's figure loomed on the main dais, his elongated form wrapped in ceremonial regalia of deep obsidian and iridescent silver. His eyes, cold and unyielding, scanned the holographic projection floating before him, the blue and green orb of Earth. Earth! Vortha's voice rippled through the chamber in a chilling monotone. Your defiance cannot be tolerated. The Galactic Council demands tribute, resources, vessels, and political subservience, delivered within 6 standard cycles. Failure to comply will result in your annihilation. The chamber fell into a tense silence, punctuated only by the faint clicks and murmurs of alien delegates. The human contingent stood frozen, the weight of the ultimatum pressing on their very bones. Across the void, aboard the Valiant, Earth's flagship battleship, the message arrived like a thunderclap. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the helm, her jaw clenched tight, eyes fixed on the holoscreen replaying the message. The red emergency lights bathed the bridge in a grim glow. Around her, officers exchanged uneasy glances. The usual hum of coordinated activity was replaced by a heavy stillness. Read it again, Elena commanded, voice steady despite the storm brewing inside. Lieutenant Chen complied. Supreme Arbiter Vorth demands tribute or threatens annihilation. Deadline, 6 standard cycles. Elena's hand tightened into a fist on the console. 6 cycles. That's a month, maybe less. They want us broken, subjugated. Her gaze swept over the room. Prepare a report for the Earth Council. We need to decide our next move, now. At Earth's capital, the Great Dome housed the Council's emergency session. Delegates and government officials gathered, their faces shadowed with uncertainty. The transmission from Zephyrus Prime had shattered years of cautious optimism about humanity's place in the galaxy. Ambassador Riel, a veteran diplomat with a calm exterior, stepped forward. We have faced crises before. Yet this is unprecedented. The Council's demands are exorbitant and politically humiliating. A younger official shot back. If we refuse, we invite war with a force that outmatches us by an order of magnitude. Is survival worth such pride? Voices rose, splitting the room between fear and defiance. Elena's voice cut through the clamor during a secure communication link. Fear won't save us. Humanity is not built for surrender. Our fleet is ready. If the Council thinks we will bow, they are mistaken. The room quieted, absorbing her conviction. Elena reflected on the years behind her, a childhood marked by conflict on Earth's unstable frontiers, the endless wars that shaped her resolve. She knew the Council saw humans as reckless, a primitive species whose unpredictability was a threat to galactic order. They underestimated the unyielding fire that burned in human hearts. Commander, her second-in-command, Captain Malik, approached quietly. The fleet is mobilizing. Shipyards running at full capacity. Crews assembled. But we're outgunned. Elena met his gaze, eyes sharp. Outgunned, yes. But never outwitted. We fight smarter, not just harder. Back in the Council chamber, Vortha's gaze remained fixed on Earth's image. They will learn, he said softly, almost to himself. Meanwhile, human ships across the solar system began powering up, engines humming with readiness. The stark silhouette of the Valiant glided out of dock, its sleek hull reflecting the distant sun, a symbol of defiance and hope. On the Valiant's bridge, Elena gathered her officers. The holographic map displayed Zephyrus Prime, the Council's seat of power, surrounded by fleets that dwarfed Earth's defenses. We are the underdogs, she began, voice steady and commanding. But underdogs have something to prove. We fight for our home, for every soul on Earth who dreams of freedom. We fight because surrender is not an option. A murmur of agreement echoed. Lieutenant Chen interrupted. Commander, initial scans indicate their task force will arrive in 48 hours. Then we have less than 2 days to prepare, Elena replied grimly. The political factions on Earth scrambled. Some advocated immediate negotiation, fearing the cost of conflict. Others rallied behind the fleet, embracing the fight for sovereignty. Elena knew politics could fracture their resolve. Unity is our shield, she told her crew. Without it, even the strongest weapons are useless. Her eyes hardened. Send a message back to the Council. The room waited as she composed the transmission. Humanity acknowledges the Council's demands. We decline. We will defend our freedom with every ship, every soldier, every citizen. Prepare yourselves. The future will not be dictated by fear. A tense silence followed the transmission. Commander, Malik asked softly, are we ready for what comes next? Elena turned, resolve burning bright. We don't have a choice. History will remember this moment, not as the day we knelt, but as the day humanity roared. The Valiant surged forward, slicing through the vacuum toward the unknown battle awaiting them. In the cold expanse between stars, two forces prepared to collide, an ancient galactic order demanding submission, and a young species determined to carve its destiny with fire and steel. The countdown had begun. The metallic heartbeat of Earth's shipyards echoed through the night as thousands worked tirelessly, their silhouettes outlined against towering hulls under construction. Each starship was a testament to human resilience, forged in fire and steel, ready to defend a world that refused to bow. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of the Valiant, gazing over the sprawling assembly lines where battleships, frigates, and cruisers took shape. The hum of machinery blended with voices, engineers, pilots, and technicians all racing against time. She felt the weight of leadership settle like armor around her shoulders. Her second-in-command, Captain Malik, approached with a data pad in hand. Commander, the fleet will reach full operational status within 48 hours. We've pushed the shipyards to their limits. Elena nodded, eyes sharp. Good. What about the crews? Nearly all are assigned. Training schedules are accelerated. Morale is high, but the tension is palpable. Elena turned, her voice steady but firm. Fear can be a weapon if harnessed correctly. We'll channel it into focus, discipline, and unity. Down in the briefing room, officers gathered around a luminous tactical map of the solar system. Lines of potential enemy movements were traced in red, Earth's defenses in blue. Elena stood at the head, addressing her team. We know the Galactic Council's strength, she began. Their fleet is vast, but it's not invincible. Our advantage lies in agility, creativity, and the unbreakable spirit of our people. Lieutenant Chen raised a hand. Commander, reconnaissance reports indicate several Council scout ships near the asteroid belt. They're probing our defenses. Elena's eyes narrowed. We'll use that to our advantage. Prepare a strike team to intercept. Hit them fast, disappear faster. Meanwhile, back on Earth, political leaders debated fiercely in the council chamber beneath the Great Dome. Ambassador Riel argued passionately for unity. This is not just a military conflict, it's a test of our resolve as a civilization. Divided, we fall. United, we stand a chance. Yet whispers of dissent echoed. Some factions urged negotiations to avoid the catastrophe of war. On the Valiant, Elena convened a closed-door meeting with her senior officers. Rumors spread fast, she said bluntly. Some aboard want to open talks, others advocate all-out war. We must remain focused. Captain Malik leaned forward. The crew looks to you for direction, Commander. Your words will define our path. She met their eyes, unwavering. Our path is clear. We fight to defend what is ours. There will be no surrender. Training intensified. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers in simulators, gunners calibrated weapons systems, and engineers performed last-minute checks. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation. In a rare quiet moment, Elena walked among her crew. She paused by a young pilot nervously adjusting her flight gear. First deployment nerves? Elena asked softly. The pilot nodded. Sir, it's overwhelming. Elena smiled briefly. Fear is natural. It sharpens your senses. Trust your training, trust your ship, and most importantly, trust each other. The pilot's eyes steadied. Thank you, Commander. The first tangible sign of impending conflict arrived hours later. Radar blips flickered on the Valiant's sensors, small, fast-moving Council scout ships skirting the outer rim of Earth's defense perimeter. Contact, Lieutenant Chen reported. They're probing our systems. Deploy interceptors, Elena ordered. Engage only if necessary. We don't want to reveal too much. The bridge burst into controlled activity. Pilots launched from the hangar bays, streaking toward the scouts and sleek fighters. The chase was brief but intense. Council scouts darted through the debris fields of the asteroid belt, using jagged rocks as cover. Human interceptors pressed hard, forcing the aliens to break formation. A burst of plasma fire from a human fighter found its mark, sending a scout spiraling into space. The others scattered. Back on the Valiant, Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Small victories matter. As the sun set over Earth's cities, news of the skirmish spread. The public, battered by decades of economic and social strain, found renewed hope in the fleet's success. Yet behind the scenes, the political struggle intensified. Ambassador Riel confronted opposition leaders, pleading for unity. War is no longer a distant threat, he urged. It is here. We must stand as one. On board the Valiant, Elena's routine was unrelenting. She pored over intelligence reports late into the night, planning, calculating. She knew the Council's forces were many, but human ingenuity was their greatest weapon. Commander, Malik said during one briefing, the Council's fleet will arrive in force within 48 hours. We need contingency plans. Elena's gaze hardened. Prepare multiple scenarios. Defensive, offensive, and asymmetric. We fight with every advantage. In the mess hall, the crew gathered in small groups, sharing stories and steeling themselves for what lay ahead. Elena joined a table, listening quietly. A seasoned engineer spoke of the fleet's upgrades. New plasma coils, enhanced shields. We've pushed the limits. A medic added. We're ready to treat injuries, but I hope we don't see too many. Elena smiled faintly. War tests more than weapons. It tests hearts. Outside, stars glittered coldly, indifferent to the turmoil below. The fleet stood poised, sleek, deadly, and resolute. Elena returned to the bridge, her fingers brushing the controls. She stared at the starfield beyond, imagining the looming shadow of the Council's armada. We are not alone in this fight, she whispered. But we are the last line. The clock ticked toward confrontation. Earth's greatest hour was coming, and with it, a reckoning that would echo across the galaxy. The void ahead crackled with tension. Through the Valiant's forward viewport, Commander Elena Reyes watched the Council's task force emerge from hyperspace, a monstrous array of warships glinting coldly against the stars. They were more numerous, more heavily armed, yet here they were, poised to face a fleet born from Earth's grit and ingenuity. Elena's voice cut through the bridge. Battle stations. Maintain formation Delta. No mistakes. Her officers moved with precision, their years of training crystallizing into action. The distant drone of engines grew louder as Earth's fleet surged forward, each vessel a shield for the world they vowed to protect. Lieutenant Chen keyed his comms. Scanners indicate the Council's flagship leading the charge. It's a Dreadnought-class vessel, heavily shielded, bristling with plasma turrets. Elena nodded. Then it's our priority. We take out their command and watch the rest falter. Captain Malik added. Their fighters are deploying. We're about to be swarmed. The first salvo exploded across the dark expanse. Council plasma cannons illuminated the battlefield in bursts of green fire. Human ships wove between the blasts, launching counterattacks with missile salvos and laser beams. The Valiant shuddered as a glancing shot ripped through its outer hull. Damage report, Elena demanded. Shields holding, minor hull breach aft. The tactical officer responded. Crew is responding. Elena's lips pressed into a thin line. Keep it steady. We can't afford to lose momentum. The battle unfolded like a deadly dance. Council fighters swarmed Earth's formations, their superior numbers a constant threat. But Earth's pilots fought fiercely, using hit-and-run tactics honed in simulators and real skirmishes. Agile corvettes darted through debris, flanking larger vessels and disrupting enemy lines. In the heat of combat, Elena's voice remained calm, directing ships and reallocating firepower. Reinforce the starboard flank! Target those plasma turrets on the dreadnought! Amid the chaos, a young pilot called out, voice shaking but determined. Commander, this is Falcon 1. I've locked on to their weapons array. Fire when ready, Elena ordered. A missile streaked from Falcon 1's fighter, piercing the dreadnought's shields and detonating near the weapon banks. Alarms blared as the enemy flagship staggered, its plasma fire faltering briefly. Vortha's image flickered into Elena's tactical display, stern, unyielding. His voice was a cold whisper. You dare challenge the Council, human? Your recklessness will be your undoing. Elena stared back. We fight for survival, not for your approval. The battle's tide swung unpredictably. Several Earth ships were lost, consumed by plasma storms or ripped apart by railgun blasts. But every loss was met with renewed fury. The human fleet's coordination was unmatched, each vessel a cog in a relentless machine. Elena took a deep breath and issued a bold command. Deploy the Kraken squadron. Use the asteroid field for cover and flank the dreadnought from its blind spot. The Valiant's comms crackled. Kraken squadron inbound. Small strike crafts emerged from the shadows of massive space rocks, their dark hulls nearly invisible. They moved with lethal precision, weaving past enemy fighters to reach the dreadnought's vulnerable aft. On the dreadnought's bridge, alarms blared. Multiple hostiles approaching from rear quadrant. Shields failing! The Council's commander barked orders, but it was too late. The Kraken squadron unleashed a barrage of torpedoes, striking critical systems. Fires erupted, and the flagship's movements slowed. Back on the Valiant, Elena allowed herself a rare smile. Excellent work! Now press the attack! The fleet surged forward, focusing fire on the crippled dreadnought. Beams of energy cut through shields, tearing into its hull. Explosions blossomed like deadly flowers across its surface. In the midst of the battle, Elena's comms buzzed. Commander, a Council destroyer is attempting to flank us starboard. Divert the Phoenix squadron, she ordered. Intercept and neutralize. Phoenix squadron responded with a ferocity that earned cheers over the comm channels. Fighters engaged in dogfights, their sleek forms flashing through the void. After a tense exchange, the destroyer was disabled, drifting lifeless. The Valiant rocked violently as another plasma blast grazed its shields. Elena steadied herself, eyes scanning the tactical display. We're holding, but only just. Reinforcements arriving in 10 minutes, Chen reported. Elena's jaw tightened. Then we hold until they arrive. No retreat. The battle stretched on, a brutal exchange of wills and firepower. Casualties mounted on both sides, yet neither yielded. Amid the cacophony, individual acts of bravery shone through, a gunner who remained at his post despite injury, a pilot who sacrificed her fighter to draw enemy fire, engineers patching critical systems under fire. Hours later, the Council fleet began a slow withdrawal. Their flagship limped away, disabled but not destroyed. Earth's fleet, battered but unbroken, held the field. On the Valiant, Elena addressed her crew. Today, we faced a foe that believed us weak. We proved them wrong. But this is only the beginning. A chorus of determined voices met her words. Prepare for the next engagement, she said. We will be ready. Far away, in the shadows of Zephyrus Prime, Supreme Arbiter Vorus stared at the battle report. His expression was unreadable, but beneath it flickered a new calculation, a grudging respect for humanity's tenacity, and a darker resolve to crush that fire before it could spread. The days following the first clash were a whirlwind of repair and recalibration aboard the Valiant. The corridors echoed with the low hum of machinery and hurried footsteps as engineers worked tirelessly to patch battered systems. Elena moved through the ship with purposeful strides, her mind far from the minor damages that glistened under the ship's lights. What weighed heavily was the looming threat that the Council was far from done. Reports filtered in from scouts and intelligence channels, whispers of a secret weapon, something far beyond conventional armaments, were stirring fear among the crew. The Council had revealed only fragments, enough to unsettle. A weapon capable of crippling Earth's orbital defenses in moments, turning their hard-won gains to ash. In the briefing room, Elena faced her officers, tension thick in the air. "We've seen their fleet. Now they bring a weapon meant to break us." Captain Malik's eyes were sharp. "It's unlike anything we've encountered, energy signatures off the charts, destructive potential exponential." Lieutenant Chen chimed in. "Preliminary scans suggest it could disable entire sections of the fleet with a single blast." Elena exhaled slowly. "If it activates, we lose our edge. We need to find a way to neutralize it before it fires." Meanwhile, on Earth's political front, debates flared. Some factions argued that negotiation was the only path left. But Ambassador Riel stood firm, a voice of reason amid the growing panic. "Capitulation invites only more demands. If we show weakness now, we condemn ourselves to endless subjugation." But pressure mounted. News of the secret weapon leaked, stoking fear among civilians and leaders alike. Back on the Valiant, Elena found herself wrestling with doubt during a rare moment of solitude. The ship's observation deck offered a panoramic view of Earth below, a fragile blue orb surrounded by the darkness of space. Could they withstand another blow? Her thoughts were interrupted by Malik's arrival. "Commander, we received an urgent update." She turned. "Go ahead. We've detected the weapon powering up. It's orbiting Earth, cloaked behind the moon. Activation is imminent." Elena's jaw tightened. "Then we strike first. Assemble a strike team. We're going after it." The plan was risky but necessary. A small fleet would infiltrate the moon's shadow, locate the weapon, and disable it before it could fire. The Valiant would provide cover and coordinate from orbit. As preparations raced forward, Elena gathered her strike team. "This mission will be unlike any before. Expect heavy resistance and little room for error. Your courage and skill will define the outcome." A young pilot stepped forward, determination shining in her eyes. "Commander, we won't let you down." Elena nodded, steeling herself. "Good. Let's move." The strike fleet slipped silently through the moon's darkened face. The silence was eerie, broken only by the hum of engines and whispered comms. Suddenly, the cloaking shimmer of the Council's weapon flickered into view, a massive structure bristling with antennas and energy conduits. Its surface pulsed ominously. "Target acquired," Malik confirmed. "Initiating approach." Council defense forces erupted from hidden bays, plasma bolts lancing through the void. The strike team responded with precision, fighters weaving through fire to protect their capital ships. Elena's voice rang clear over comms. "Focus on the weapon's power core. We disable that, the threat ends." Missiles streaked forward, guided by expert pilots. The power core glowed fiercely, but it couldn't withstand the barrage. Explosions rippled across the weapon's surface as shields faltered. Just as victory seemed within reach, a Council destroyer surged forward, ramming into one of Elena's frigates. The impact rocked the fleet. "Frigate down!" Chen reported. "We're losing ground." Elena's heart pounded. "Hold formation! Support the damaged units!" In the chaos, Elena received a transmission from Earth's Council. The voice was strained but resolute. "Commander, political pressure is increasing. Some leaders urge negotiation. You must consider the consequences." Elena's reply was firm. "Negotiation at this point is surrender. We fight for every inch." The strike team rallied, pushing back the Council forces. The power core finally exploded, sending a shockwave through the weapon and disabling its systems. The massive structure groaned before drifting inert. Back in orbit, cheers erupted aboard the Valiant. Elena allowed herself a rare smile. "We've bought Earth more time." But her eyes were shadowed. The Council would retaliate, and soon. That evening, As Earth's skyline glittered below, Elena stood in her quarters, reflecting on the cost. The fleet had suffered losses, the crew's faces haunted by what they'd seen. A message from Malik interrupted her thoughts. "Commander, incoming transmission from Supreme Arbiter Vorith." Elena's pulse quickened. She accepted. Vorith's visage filled the screen, calm, cold, but with an undercurrent of menace. "You have disrupted our plans," he intoned. "But the Council's resolve is eternal. Your defiance will be extinguished." Elena met his gaze evenly. "We will stand. And when this war ends, it will be humanity that writes the future." The transmission ended, leaving a heavy silence. Outside, stars shone silently, indifferent witnesses to a battle that would define a species. The war was far from over. But for now, humanity had struck a blow, and their roar echoed across the void. The vastness of space stretched endlessly before the Valiant, a cold black canvas dotted with distant stars. Yet within that void, a storm was brewing, the final, desperate confrontation that would determine Earth's fate. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge, her gaze steady as tactical readouts flooded the screens. The Council's superweapon was destroyed, but their remaining forces were more numerous and desperate than ever. They were coming for Earth itself. "Elena, sensors report multiple battle groups converging from 3 vectors," Lieutenant Chen said, voice taut with urgency. "Their armada is larger than anything we faced before." Elena's jaw clenched. "Then we give them a fight they'll never forget." Earth's fleet was a finely tuned machine, scarred but unbroken. Ships of all sizes formed a formidable defense line around the home system. Fighters streaked through space like silver streaks, ready to engage. Engineers worked feverishly to keep shields humming and weapons primed. Elena's voice rang clear, cutting through the controlled chaos. "All units, prepare for maximum engagement. Defensive grids up. Target priority is their command ships. Take them down, and the rest will falter." The Council's dreadnoughts surged forward, weapons blazing. Plasma arcs scorched the vacuum, tearing through formations with devastating precision. The fleet shuddered as the first volleys found their marks. "Shields at 50%, a weapons officer shouted. "Hold the line," Elena ordered. "Redirect power to forward shields and weapon systems. We need every advantage." Amid the hailstorm of fire, Elena's comms crackled to life. "Commander, Falcon Squadron ready for strike run on enemy flagship. Execute. Target their main weapon arrays and communication nodes," Elena commanded. The fighters launched with precision, threading through enemy fire. Falcon 1 led the charge, weaving a deadly path toward the flagship. Missiles streaked forward, detonating against shield banks and exposing vulnerable sections. The Council flagship staggered, plasma fire faltering. In the heat of battle, Elena's voice softened for a moment as a young pilot reported. "Commander, we lost Echo 3. Pilot ejected safely, but the squadron is down a member." Her heart tightened. "Tell Echo 3 we'll remember their sacrifice." The battle raged on, an intricate dance of strategy and survival. Earth's fleet used every tactic, feints, flanking maneuvers, and coordinated strikes, to keep the Council forces off balance. On board the Valiant, Elena coordinated with surgical precision, shifting resources and redirecting firepower where needed most. Her calm under pressure was a beacon for her crew. Suddenly, a massive energy blast tore through the void, striking Earth's orbital defenses. Explosions rocked satellites and communication arrays, disrupting vital systems. "Elena, their heavy cannon just hit Earth's main satellite array. We're losing comms and radar coverage," Chen warned. She clenched her fists. "Damage control teams, respond immediately. We can't afford to lose our eyes and ears now." The Council's forces pressed the advantage, sensing Earth's vulnerability. But humanity's defenders dug in deeper. Aboard the Valiant, Elena initiated a daring maneuver. "Divert all power to forward thrusters. We're closing in on their command ship." Her officers exchanged wary glances. It was risky, but Elena's instincts were unshakable. The Valiant surged forward, weaving through enemy fire with uncanny agility. Elena's fingers danced over the controls as she directed her ship into a lethal embrace. "Prepare the main cannons," she ordered. "Target the flagship's bridge." A volley of plasma shells slammed into the enemy's bridge, shattering viewports and disabling weapons arrays. The Council flagship faltered, its command structure thrown into chaos. Over comms, Elena's voice rang out, firm and unwavering. "This is Commander Reyes. The Council underestimated humanity's will. This fight ends now." The flagship's captain, his voice distorted but defiant, responded. "You may have won this battle, human, but the war is eternal." Elena smiled grimly. "Not if we have anything to say about it." The Council's fleet began to falter, their formations breaking under the relentless assault. Earth's ships pressed their advantage, turning the tide. As the last enemy's ships retreated, Elena's crew erupted in cheers, tears, and exhausted laughter. The cost had been high, friends lost, vessels destroyed, but humanity had stood firm. Later, as the Valiant drifted above Earth, Elena looked out at the fragile blue planet glowing beneath them. "We fought for our home," she said softly. "For every life, every dream. Today, humanity roared. And the galaxy heard." Her crew gathered around, sharing the weight of victory and loss. The battle had been won, but Elena knew this was only the beginning of a longer journey. In the shadows of Zephyrus Prime, Supreme Arbiter Vorath received the news. His expression was unreadable, but the flicker of defeat was undeniable. For now, Earth had triumphed. But the galaxy was vast, and conflicts yet to come. Back aboard the Valiant, Elena turned to her crew, her voice steady. "We fought as one. We showed the universe that humanity will never be tamed. Rest now. Tomorrow we rebuild. And when they come again, we will be ready." The stars outside twinkled quietly, silent witnesses to a species that refused to bow. A roar echoed through the cosmos, heralding a new era of humanity's rise.